So yesterday we stopped at the creation of load balancer, and we need to create the load balancer. For that, I said I need my missions to be part of availability set or availability zone, right? So I didn't create availability set or availability zone for my other mission sites equal 1, sites equal 2, and the DC machine. So that's why I was not able to configure load balancer. But since node 3 and node 4 are part of availability set, I can able to create the load balancer. Let me show you. So if you click on node 3, this is the availability zone. So I don't have any availability zones. And if I go here for availability and scaling, I have one availability set for me. So now I would be able to create my missions with the load balancer. So let me do that. But before doing that, let me start the missions. Any questions, guys? Last class, like you wanted to verify with me? Any questions from your end?
So this is node to node, we are doing the load balancing, right?
So this load balancer is needed in always on. First of all, when you are deploying your always on Azure VMs, first thing. And currently now we are in single subnet. Okay, so
Yeah,
we are only in single subnet.
same,
And
same.
if I talk about, since I just discussed about VNet yesterday, so the first machine would get the IP of 10 dot blah 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 blah. Last number will be 4, and the rest of the VMs whatever you create, it will follow with the next numbers, sequence number. So it will be 4, this one 5, 6, 7. So all are inside the same network. So if you want, I can show you. So I have only one virtual networks with me. So this is my VNet, and all the machines, whatever what I have, are part of this address space. Okay, so these are all the 4 machines. If you see the IP address of these machines, so domain controller is 4. And okay, see this, I have created domain controller in one subnet, and my SQL missions in another subnet. Okay, so that is fine. But as of now, we are dealing with the concept of load balancer. And I forgot to mention one point, guys. So once you click on virtual networks, okay, this is very, very important for you to understand how your missions are interconnected. So click on select your virtual network. Okay, I'm selecting virtual network, and I'm going to diagram under monitoring. So this diagram will help me to understand how my missions are connected. Let me zoom this a bit. See, so I have VNet 1, okay, and I have 2 subnets here. Okay, looking at the diagram, you should be able to understand how my missions are interconnected. So it will be helpful if someone represents with a diagram, right? In the similar fashion, Azure itself is helping us to create this diagram once we create the VMs. So this is my VNet. Inside this VNet, I have 2 subnets, DC subnet and SQL subnet. Okay, so under DC subnet, I have the network interface card for my DC mission. And this is my DC mission. This is the network security group for that DC mission, and IP, public IP. In the similar fashion, I have node 1 and node 1 NSG and node 1 public IP, node 2 public IP, node 3 public IP, and then finally my node 4. So looking at this diagram, it is easy for us to identify what are the missions that are part of this virtual network. So this is a handy one if you are dealing in your real-time environment.
No, how can you saying that it's have 2 subnets? I can see there are many subnets. What is those all? How you how differentiate that others?
So actually,
The diagram.
these are the subnets, right? What I created. So if I go to my virtual network, so these are all the subnets what I created. But frankly speaking, I'm not using any of these machines. So I'm just using DC subnet and SQL subnet. I'm not using this. I just created for my testing purpose long time back, but I forgot to delete them. And you asked me the question like how you are saying my missions are part of this subnet, right? So
So
yeah,
based on the diagram, you are saying that it is a 2 subnet. It is about 2 subnets, but I could see there are many subnets, right?
yes, yes. So if you see here, let me zoom in. I think this is good enough. Come down. right? You are saying that I could see many subnets, right? So see
Yes.
here, DC subnet 2019, SQL subnet 2019, that this, okay. But if you see VNet 1, okay, SQL subnet, and under the SQL subnet, I have all these missions, right? If you see the flow chart, so this is for SQL subnet. Node 2 is part of SQL subnet. In the similar way, see this line, it goes here and it says node 3. So node 3 is also part of SQL subnet. In the similar fashion, there is one more line coming for SQL subnet, and that is going to node 4. So these subnets are there, but no missions are part of this other subnets, what I have. DC subnet 2019, see, it is not having any pipeline or any flow, right? So no missions are part of these subnets, what I have. These are empty.
Okay. Yeah, got it. So it is not mapped with any other machines, right?
Yes,
You're
it is
saying
not
just
mapped.
it to. Yeah.
So only I have, I mean, in use, I am just using DC subnet and SQL subnet. I am not using this. I can delete them. I will do it
Okay.
later. So let me switch back. I think I just started my missions. Let me check. Virtual machines. Yeah, running. Okay. I was playing with some Azure Active Directories. So I need to work on this, guys. It is very tricky. I don't know how I would be able to resolve this, but definitely I will give it a try on this part. Node 3. Let me connect. Let me open the clue admin first. I wanted to show you something. Clue admin.msc. Sometimes it gives a shock.
And one more thing, Uzi, so how these IP addresses are allocated to the virtual machine? So it is based on the virtual network?
Yes, even in real time, once you configure the missions, you will get the IP from Microsoft itself. If you want, you can change them. Okay, there is no such restriction that you have to stick with the IPs what you got at the time of creation of VMs. So here, if you see, I got this IP, and you don't want to use this IP, you can change it. So for that, you can go to the networking and click on the network interface. So this is the vital one, guys. So network interface plays the crucial role. Everything, whatever you are doing with networking part on the VM, it has to be handled from this network interface. So click on that. And these are all the things that are part of this interface. So I have to tune my IP, right? So I have to click on IP configurations. If you see here, this is the address, what I have for my machine, and this is the public IP. And even the static IP, what I got, sorry, even the private IP, what I got, it is dynamic. So if you want, you can change here. You can click on this and you can change it to static. Click on this and you can change the IP address if you want. It is up to us.
Okay. What about the series, the one started with 192 normally? So when you're creating a virtual, when you're creating a VNet, we have taken that series, 192 series?
Yes. So at the time of creation of virtual machine, so you will get that series automatically. And if you are creating the VNets first, then you can place your missions. So example, I placed my missions inside 192. You don't want for your missions. So first you create your VNet and just click on VNet, and inside the address space in the next tab, create. So here, pass on the relevant address space what you want. So maybe you can remove this and you can go ahead with 172 series if you want. It's up to us.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so now guys, these are all real-time issues, guys. So what I'm saying, I am not deviating from the topic. I'm just helping you to learn more things which can help you in your real-time environment. Okay, so someone was asking me for the quorum. So now this is the right time for you to learn about quorum, guys. So you can see here, right? My cluster Windows cluster itself is down. Okay, so now if anyone is good with Quorum, can you tell me why it is down? What should I do to make this up? Even in real time, you will be approaching your Windows team if you have any, but if you don't have Windows team, it is up to us to manage this Windows cluster, right? Agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
So now tell me, what should I do? Tell me what is Quorum first. And before explaining about Quorum, so are you able to see the, let me open the availability groups as well. So I will show you something. This is also one of the troubleshooting that you should be aware of, guys. Okay, don't ignore this. This is required. I think finally we got 22, not a bad number. So it says that node 1 cluster service is stopped, node 2 cluster service is stopped. Why it is stopped?
Cluster services.
It says cluster. Okay, I'm not able to move this window, but
Can you check cluster events?
sorry, can you check? What is that? What should I check?
I mean logs. I mean cluster event logs.
Cluster event logs. Okay. So if I go here, it's querying the information. We have to wait. So I got only one event at 3:48, means 3 minutes back. So it says this is the error message, what it is showing. The latest copy of cluster configuration data was not available with a set of nodes. And this is the error message. You can read out that, right? So what it is showing, what it is saying, votes required to start the cluster 2, votes available are 0. Okay, so it is clearly saying it needs 2 votes to start this cluster, but as of now, no votes are available for it to start.
Okay, it's a 4-node cluster,
Can you
right?
start the cluster service in a Windows service level?
So if you see
So
here,
it is a 4-node
yeah, yes, it's a 4-node cluster.
Been allocated only node 1, node 2. It has been allocated, yeah, votes. The remaining nodes does not have any votes, right, Vamsi?
I got confused. Can you repeat this statement slowly?
We need an odd number also.
I mean,
We need
it's a
an odd
4-node
number of
cluster
votes, right?
total, and node 1
4-node
and
cluster,
node
we need a 3
2
votes.
have a votes, and node 3, node 4 does not have any votes.
1 second, I'll just connect. Node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4 are there. All the 4 nodes are participating in the cluster. But thing is that node 1 and node 2, it is saying as down. So first, when it is saying as down, it is first basic check. What we have to check from our end is whether the machine is up or not, right? So did I start my machine, node 1 and node 2?
No.
No, right? So they are down. Node 1 and node 2 are down. And when it comes to node 3 and node 4, they are up and my domain controller is up. Okay, so now out of these 4 nodes that are participating in the cluster, 2 are down and 2 are up, right? So let me start node 1 and see what happens. I will show you, I will make you understand what is quorum, because even in real time, usually when something goes wrong, people will always complain on quorum. So you have to understand what is quorum. So first I will start what is quorum. So did anyone worked with Windows 2003 cluster, guys? I know it's way back, but still I'm asking. Anyone has any idea with 2003? Yeah, so I think Shiva worked on it, so he knows. So back in the olden days, when we worked on Windows 2003, we had only one configuration called as disk configuration. I mean disk, what is it? Disk quote.
Majority.
Disk majority, yes, disk majority. So we have to create a disk that is shared across all the nodes that are participating in the cluster. So that disk will act as quorum. It was long back when we were working with clusters on 2003. But the problem with that is if something goes wrong to that voting mechanism, entire cluster will be down. So it's a very, very big drawback with Windows 2003 cluster. And when it comes to Windows 2008, they made some enhancements. Okay, and now we got 4 types of configurations with respect to quorum. So what is quorum actually? So quorum is holding the metadata information of the cluster in simple terms. I know there are many definitions for quorum, but I'm just passing the generic statement. Quorum is nothing but it holds the metadata information of the cluster. So if you are going for voting, so if you are voting, so there will be number of votes for us to form a government, right? So there should be a certain number of votes for any parties to form the government. In the similar fashion, for the cluster to form that for the cluster to work as expected, I need votes, votes. I need votes from the members. So that members are nothing but the nodes that are participating in the cluster. So these every node will participate for the voting. Okay, from 2008 we have 4 types of voting mechanisms. Let me show you that first. 2008. You need to know the history, guys, if you want to be good with quorum configurations. Okay, I know we are now with Windows 22 and Windows 29, 2016, 2012, but back in the old days, I'm just giving you how it was and how Microsoft went ahead with their improvements with quorum configuration settings. So I'm just passing the information. If you don't want, it's okay, fine. So 2008 quorum settings. Images also fine. I think this is the one. Let me zoom this. Yeah. So if you see this, I have 4 configurations from 2008. Why they made this change? Because we are dependent with only one disk, and if something goes wrong with that disk, my cluster will not be able to function as expected. So that's why they removed that dependency, disk dependency what we had in 2003, and they came up with this concept in 2008. So first one is called as node majority, and second one is called as node and disk majority, node and file share majority, and no majority. This is just equivalent to 2003. I mean, it's disk only. So only the disk only. They themselves are recommending not to use this. Okay, this should not be used at any cost. So now we have node majority. What is node majority? What is node and disk majority? And what is node and file share majority? So when it comes to node majority, so every node will participate in voting. Okay, so that is node majority, and this is recommended for odd number of votes, odd number of nodes. Means, example, I have 3 nodes participating in the cluster, and to form the cluster, I need at least 50% of the votes, not equal to 50, greater than 50. Okay, even if it is equal to 50%, it will not be able to form the cluster. So my voting should be greater than 50%. Okay, so when I have 3 nodes participating in the cluster, if I go ahead with node majority, how many votes will be there? Did I lose you guys?
3.
3. There are 3. See, there are 3 people voting for Congress or BJP or sorry, what is that other party? Aam Aadmi or whatever it is. So we have 3 people standing to vote for their parties, relevant parties. So how many people means how many nodes here? So I have 3 nodes participating in the cluster. So there will be three votes for each node. I will have one vote, right? Each node will have 1 vote. So they are saying here node majority not recommended for your current number of nodes. Means this is a default setting where he has some certain configuration, but usually node majority is for odd number of votes. When I have odd number of votes, I can make use of node majority. When I have even number of nodes participating in the cluster, what will happen if with the even number of nodes, right? So even number means 2 or 4. Let's say I will take 2 nodes, for example. Okay, so 2 are running fine. That's fine. If 2 are participating in the cluster and 2 of them have their votes, it's okay. Quorum will cluster will function as expected. What if 1 node goes down? Then how many votes will I have in a 2 node cluster?
50%.
50%. So means I will not be able to form the cluster. I said, even if it is 50%, no way you can form the cluster. You should have voting mechanism greater than 50%. So that is a problem with even number of votes. Even number of votes means if one node goes down, the other node cannot withstand and entire cluster will be down. That's why when you're using even number of nodes, you should have another guy participating in the voting mechanism. So I will use disk majority. In that case, I will add one more disk here. So all these configurations, whatever I'm saying, this is for 2008 guys. So I will come back till 2019. I think I am okay with until 2016. Okay, I will say up to 2016. I didn't check the 2019 if they have made any enhancements with Quorum. So I'm talking about 2008 here, Windows 2008. So when I have even number of votes, so if one node goes down, my cluster will be gone. So that's why I need extra voting. So that extra voting is nothing but disk in this case. So this is recommended for even number of nodes. And in the similar fashion, I have node and file share. I can use file share as my voting mechanism. Usually we will use this file share for multi-subnet clusters, guys. So for your information, SQL will not support multi-subnet. SQL Server was not supporting multi-subnet clusters until SQL Server 2012. So if you are going with SQL Server 2008 back in olden days, it doesn't support multi-subnet. So from networking end, they have to do something called a stretched VLAN and all. I don't know about that. Leave out, guys. So usually node and file share majority is just like node and disk majority. Only difference is that file share majority will be used for multi-subnet clusters. That's the only thing. And finally, we have this no majority, means only disk only, which is not at all good. So these are the 4 options what we have in 2008. Any questions here? Stop me, because this is very important topic.
Vamshi,
Yes.
in our environment, I think node and file share majority can be used in same subnet also.
It's not, I'm saying we should not use file share majority. Usually it is good with multi-subnet clusters. It doesn't mean that it will not work with single subnet. You can make use of it. Okay, it's just a recommendation. That's it. Any other questions in 2008? So if I have this configuration, why can't I use the same configuration as what we have in 2008? Why there are certain changes in 2012? Why those changes came into picture when everything is looking good in 2008? Why Microsoft has improved their quorum functionality? It means you have to think, what is the problem with this configuration, with this 2008 setup? What's that driven Microsoft to again make changes to the quorum? Are you not getting any questions on your head, to your head? No questions? Sure. Okay. Okay. So this is there, and this configuration remains the same up to 2016 also, but there are enhancements when it comes to voting mechanisms, guys. So that is nothing but one, in 2012, they introduced something called as dynamic, it is dynamic quorum. And in 2012 R2, again, they improved something called as dynamic, what is that? Dynamic something is there. Oh, let me check. Let me check 1 second, guys. 2012 Windows Quorum versus 2012 R2 Windows Quorum. So node majority, we now know what is node majority. Node majority with witness and no majority at all, that is fine. So what is that something? Yeah, one is called as dynamic quorum management. What is dynamic quorum management? And there should be something else called as dynamic witness, I guess. What is the term? I forgot. I think it is dynamic witness. I'm pretty sure. Yes. One is dynamic quorum. The other one is dynamic witness. So why they made it something like dynamic quorum and dynamic witness? How it plays a vital role when it comes to quorum configuration of cluster? Anyone knows about this setting, dynamic quorum and dynamic witness? Anyone who knows about this, they can talk. Otherwise, it's okay. I will explain you. Okay. So now if you see dynamic, okay, it's still, I didn't start node 1 and node 2, right? Let me show you now. PowerShell. is it boring, or am I going out of topic? Useful, or should I stop? What is your opinion, guys?
Very useful, Vamsi. Carry on.
Useful, Vamsi. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Get hyphen cluster voting votes. I don't know that I lost that command, so I'm just checking them. Just give me 2 minutes. This is very important because whenever something happens, if you know about this, you can easily talk to your Windows admin. And not only that, if something happens to your a SQL also, you can straight away figure out what went wrong. So I just wanted to know, yeah, get witness this current vote, something like this. Get hyphen cluster witness dynamic weight. What is that? There should be some command with voting and all. I forgot those commands. Get hyphen cluster.
It's get hyphen cluster quorum
This one.
and get hyphen cluster node.
Let me copy this first. So it is get hyphen cluster node. This is format name, node weight, state, auto size. It's okay. First, we'll see this command. I am not able to run this command. Okay, so it says the remote server has been passed or in the process of being started. Why I'm getting this error? Because my Windows cluster itself is down, right? So let me try to start this cluster and see what happens. So first tell me first thing. So I have how many votes here? How many nodes? First of all, 4 nodes, right?
4.
4 nodes.
Out of 4 nodes, it is saying 2 nodes are down. So how many votes now I have? Only 2 nodes, right? When I have 2 nodes, it
80%.
is 50%. Okay, I'm trying to start a cluster which has 50% of votes. Let us see what happens. I'm just clicking on start cluster. I'm not clicking on force cluster start. Okay, I'm just clicking on start cluster and see what happens. So let's see the cluster events. If that got changed anything, let me refresh. I got few errors. Now the time is 4:07. This is the latest errors. Still the same position. So it says now, previously at the beginning, it said only node 2 and node 1, right?
Yeah.
Nodes with votes is node 2 and node 1. And votes available are 0. And votes required to start the cluster are 2. This is the first message what I got. And now it is saying nodes with votes are node 2, node 1, and node 3. And votes available are 0. And votes to require the start cluster are 2. Okay. So let me switch on to my virtual machines. Let me refresh. Did I start node 1? No, right? Okay. Let me start node 1 and see what happens to the cluster. I'm just starting. I'm not doing anything. And see what happens.
I think it will work.
Yeah, let's see that what happens to our cluster. So just wait for it to come back. I will close this and I'll reopen. In the meanwhile, if I open my node 3 and node 4, this is for our setup, guys. It is not related to cluster. So these are the empty missions what I created, and it doesn't have any availability groups or something. So I will create one availability group, and not now. So once we finish off this quorum topic, I will create AG and I will create the load balancer also. Just wanted to show you nothing is there. So empty. Okay. So we will play with this servers. Okay, and let me open Clue admin fastly. Let's wait for it to come. So let me refresh the state. So it is showing running fine, and still it is showing as down. I'm going to the cluster events 408. Now it is
I think
408.
node 2 still not started. Can you
Yeah,
just check
node
it
2
once?
is still down. I'm not starting it purely because I wanted you to understand what is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, got it.
So it still says the same message. Let me check the other one, node 2, node 1, node 3, nodes with votes. Read this message, nodes with votes, quorum disk node 2 and node 1. When you read this thing, what is that, what you are understanding here? What is your understanding with this statement? Nodes with votes.
These machines can vote whether do we have to do the failover or not.
This is very tricky, guys, very tricky and very difficult to understand. Even the best in the business will find a very hard time to understand this. So that's why I said I wanted to explain 2008, 2003 first, and then I wanted to explain 2012, 2012 R2, because it plays a major role. So there is something called as dynamic quorum. Okay, there is something called as dynamic quorum, which has been introduced in 2012. Okay, so now we are on, what is that version what I have? I think I am on 2016. Yeah, I'm on 2016. So now I have the concept of dynamic quorum and dynamic witness as well. Okay, so in my case, I'm explaining you again. In my case, actually, if this is similar setup, if we have on 2008 Windows, do you think node 3 and node 4 will have votes or not? I'm repeating my
Can you
question.
repeat your question?
Yes, I'm repeating my question. Now the cluster is having 4 nodes, right? I will take more time here for you to understand, guys. So please bear with me. I will try to explain as much as possible. My question to you guys, imagine this is Windows 2008. This is not Windows 2016. Imagine this is Windows 2008 cluster, and there are 4 nodes that are participating in the cluster. Okay, only when we started, we just started 2 nodes, right? I just started node 3 and node 4, and I didn't start node 1, node 2, and I didn't start my quorum also. Okay, so if this is the setup in 2008, so what will be the message here? How many nodes will, how many votes will be there if I have the similar setup on Windows 2008? Only 2 nodes, because
Two nodes,
yeah,
node 1 and node.
node 3 and node 4 is there. So sorry, just mute yourself, guys. Node 3 and node 4, and they will have the voting, but node 1, node 2, and my witness is down, right? So I will not be able to form the cluster, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 So now in 2012, they made something called as dynamic quorum. In 2008, what happened is that the problem with 2008 setting is, how many of you worked? I don't know. In 2008, if we have SQL 2012, as I said, SQL supports multi-subnets only from 2012. Okay, so I can configure SQL 2012 cluster with Windows 2008 R2 as the operating system. Okay, so I have configured multi-subnet, whether it is always on or failover cluster, doesn't matter for me. So imagine I have 2 nodes in primary data center and 1 node in another data center. Okay, and for some reason, okay, let's do like this: 2 nodes in primary data center and 2 nodes in secondary data center. For some reason, my secondary data center went down. Okay, again, I'm repeating this question. Please understand, please pay your attention. Windows 2008, 2 servers are there in primary data center and 2 servers are there in my secondary data center. All of a sudden something happened and my secondary data center went down. So what will happen for your primary data center in that case? Will it be able to serve the applications, or will it go down?
As per vote mechanism, it will be down, right?
So
Yes,
out of,
application will not survive
yes, so I have,
because 50% only
yes,
votes.
you are right.
No,
Which
So
quorum it is?
so see, in that case, why you see there are 4 nodes and have a 4 votes. Okay,
yes,
normally if there is a even numbers, normally we'll create a one more disk which is called witness, that will give you one more vote, right? That will decide that the service is available. I mean, cluster will be served that, right?
Yeah, he will come there. He will come there. He just explaining.
yeah. So if I don't configure that witness, whatever what you said, if I didn't configure that witness, what happens to my 2008 cluster? So I have 2 nodes, right? So those 2 nodes are gone, and I have 2 nodes here in the primary data center. What is the problem with 2008 setting? That's what I'm trying to commit. Okay, so what is the problem? What happens is that this is secondary data center. This is not your primary data center, boss. So that is just for your DR. But just because if it has votes and it went down, my primary data center is also getting affected. Agreed or not?
Yes, agreed.
So it is your secondary data center. It is not your primary data center that got affected. It is your second DR, but unfortunately, because of the way 2008 has been configured with the voting mechanism, so that other guy, when it goes down, my primary data center itself, even though it is available, it is not able to serve the clients. Do you think it's a major bottleneck? Does it sound like a huge bottleneck? It's obviously it's a
Yes.
bottleneck. So the best practice suggested, even the Microsoft documents, if you refer on 2008 clusters, they will ask you to put the weight. There is weight or voting mechanism. That's called something. If I ran the statement right, so it didn't come out actually. There is something called as node weight. So it's nothing but voting. Node weight is nothing but should I participate in the cluster or not? So what we used to do in the olden days when I worked on this kind of mechanisms 2008. So we are keeping the votes for the DR what is that? DR nodes as 0, not 1. Got it or not? So let me take one MS Paint. So because it is hard for me to explain as well. It's okay. I will take my time, but I will make you understand. So bear with me. I think this is the one. This is node 1. Node 1. And this is my how to draw the figures here. I will never understand what is node 2. Okay, and some pipeline. And here there is 3 and 4, right? So everyone will be participating in the cluster. So it has 1 vote, this has 1 vote, this has 1 vote, and this has 1 vote. I'm talking about 2008, guys. So something happened within the data centers, a network partition or something happened, and DR data center went down. So these votes will be removed, right? So it will be 0. This will be 0. So primary data center has votes, but unfortunately out of 4, how many I have? I have only 2 votes. So 50%, exactly 50. When I said exactly 50, it will not work. Even though my primary data center is up and running, it will not be able to form the cluster. So entire cluster is down. Agreed or not? This point.
Yes, agreed.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. So now what we used to do is we will keep one of the nodes that are participating here. We will keep the votes for the DR as 0. By default, it will participate in the cluster, but we are forcefully making the vote for the node 3 or node 4 as 0. We are forcefully doing that just because imagine if something happens, just like the scenario what I explained. So to avoid those scenarios, we are making this setting as 0. Okay, so we are making this as static instead of dynamic. Instead of the defaults what we are getting, I am making this as 0 so that I have only 2 nodes. And as someone suggested, so I have something called as disk witness. I will keep it somewhere not in the node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, somewhere in another cluster or something. It is far from cluster. So if something goes wrong, I will have only 3 nodes participating in the cluster, right? So I have disk majority. I mean, disk is participating, or disk or file share, whatever it is. So this has 1 vote, this has 1 vote, and this has 1 vote. So out of 5 votes, what I have. So imagine this went down. Okay. So this doesn't have votes, right? So this doesn't have votes. In that case, like someone suggested, this when we have this disk majority is fine. If we don't have disk majority, what happens now? I will repeat my question. Yeah.
Will be
It will
done.
run as usual.
Cluster
So
will run because
because I
you made
made
it a
the
static
yeah. So I made it as 0. So cluster thinks that how many votes are there? Only 2 nodes. Since 2 out of 2 are there, it is completely 100%. So cluster will work as expected. Since I made this as 0 on purpose, just to avoid these kind of scenarios. The problem with this is we will never know when the network partition or network split happens. So I cannot keep on make changes to my cluster, right? I cannot make this as 0 or 1, whatever it is. It is very difficult to manage my cluster. So that's why in 2012, they came with concept something called as dynamic quorum. So dynamic quorum. So that itself will take the votes or remove the votes automatically. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to make this as 0 or make this as 0 or 1. So in 2012, they introduced something called as dynamic quorum. Okay, I'm repeating dynamic quorum, just like what we did manually, that you need not do it from Windows 2012. That is called as dynamic quorum. And now the only thing that is left, that is which is not dynamic, is file share witness or disk share, disk or whatever it is, disk share or file share. So from 2012 R2, they introduced one more feature called as dynamic witness. This is witness, right? This is the witness. These are the nodes and this is the witness. So even for the witness, they made it as dynamic. So that itself will remove the voting on the fly based on the situation. So dynamic quorum was there from 2012. Dynamic witness is there from 2012 R2. Means I will remove the voting mechanism automatically without any manual intervention. Understood or not? I know it is tricky. Even if you don't understand, it's okay. I'm just trying to help as much as possible.
Dynamic quorum allows the Windows cluster to dynamically recalculate the quorum requirements, right?
Exactly.
Based on the activity.
Exactly.
So what I was asking is that.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
ahead.
So what if the I believe if the node is shut down, the quorum what will not be will be removed, right?
So
and it will not come towards the quorum.
Let me take this example. Yeah. Go ahead. Someone wants to talk.
No, for example, if it has a 3 nodes, but 2 nodes are went down. So by taking the help of dynamic quorum, the cluster will serve.
See, dynamic quorum. That's why I'm coming. This topic is very tricky, guys. So I have to introduce something now. It's called as graceful and ungraceful. Okay, I'm making a statement now. I'm passing one new term. What is that? What is that? I just introduced graceful and ungraceful. Okay, so what is graceful? What is ungraceful?
Graceful means without force, you can fail over properly.
Yeah.
And
okay.
And ungraceful is like forcing the cluster to fail over without checking or without performing the proper checks.
Not exactly. Anyone else? What is graceful? Guys, these are all the important topics, so don't get me wrong. I'm not deviating. Please, if you are able to understand, it's fine. Otherwise, you can just ignore. Okay. So I told a term like graceful shutdown and ungraceful shutdown. What is graceful shutdown means? Imagine you are turning off the missions one by one sequentially. Okay. So I have 4 nodes for my cluster. So I turned off node 1 and I turned off node 2, node 3, node 4 in a proper manner. Means I go here and I'm saying restart or shutdown, whatever it is. So this is graceful shutdown. Shutdown means proper shutdown. Ungraceful means a sudden interruption and it led to the termination of the service, Windows service. I mean to say Windows has got shut down automatically with some interruption, with some problem. That is ungraceful. Okay, what I'm saying, dynamic quorum and dynamic witness, it will only work if the situation is graceful shutdown. Okay, remember, even in 2016, up to 2016, I'm pretty sure, I think even on 2019, it might not get changed. I'm repeating the statement. Graceful shutdown and ungraceful shutdown are the 2 things that we need to remember. Graceful means nothing but coming to your Windows server and I'm clicking on shutdown. This is graceful shutdown, proper shutdown. Graceful is nothing but proper shutdown. Ungraceful means improper shutdown. It can be a network partition or it can be a problem in the rack. Somewhere down the line, we have a problem and all of a sudden the server has lost its connectivity. So that is ungraceful shutdown. The dynamic quorum and dynamic witness, what I'm saying, it will work only with graceful scenarios, not with ungraceful situations. Did you understand this or should I repeat this?
Yes, understood.
Graceful, ungraceful, very simple. If you are shutting down properly, it is graceful shutdown. And if you don't do that, it is ungraceful. And all the concepts, whatever we are discussing, it is applicable only for graceful shutdowns, not for ungraceful shutdowns. I am repeating that statement. Any questions here? No questions?
I mean, why
Yeah,
it's
this
not,
dynamic, then in that case, it will be useful in the planned activities.
Let's read this for a
Maybe
second.
like manual failure.
So I will read this for a second and I will come back to that topic. Okay, so let's see this, what happens. So I will go through this because I have to make you sure that you understand this. But before that, let me start node 2 also and see what happens. We are still down, right? We are still down.
So
And
we can test this, right? See, normally, see when you are shutting down, go for graceful shutdown and see whether the cluster will serve.
Yes, we are going to do that. So just wait for that happen. I think I am on node 3, right? So first thing, I am asking you one question. I think let me check the host name. Host name. Yeah, I'm on node 3. Okay, and it says node 3 running, but this symbol says I am down. What does it mean? And let me run this command again. Will it work? No, it is still not able to work. Okay, so I will start node 2 now and let's see what happens because I made some mistakes intentionally. Let me start that and see what happens to our cluster. Let it start, guys, and I will explain the topic. Okay, refresh. Do you think cluster service is down on node 3? Anyone? Cluster service, is it up or down?
Based on how it was shut down.
So when I have my service up and running, no problem. That the answer what you have given is true. So it's based on how we stopped it. And even on node 4 it is running, and even on node 1 it is running. Cluster status is running. That itself, see, now node 2 is showing it as pending. Okay, so let it come to running state first. I just started the mission at the portal, so it is now running. Okay, and I will refresh this. Let me close and refresh because sometimes refresh will not work. Glue admin. And now I got my cluster back. And if you see here, Windows 2016 is up. Of course, don't ask me why it is down. I will let you know. And now if you see the notes, I said there is something called as dynamic voting. Okay, dynamic voting, dynamic quorum, dynamic witness. These three terms: dynamic voting, dynamic quorum, and dynamic witness. Out of these 4 nodes, now see here, this will help you to understand very properly, guys. So this is how many nodes are participating in the cluster?
4.
4. Even though
4.
disk or file share is there, it is down. So don't think it is there. So I will remove this for him, or I will just, it is failed state. So ignore this altogether. Okay. Out of 4. So what is the best practice? If I have 4 nodes, means if 2 nodes goes down, so my cluster will be lost, right?
Yeah, one of the quorum should be disabled, I think.
Yeah. So that's why if you see one of the node voluntarily has revoked his voting. If you see here, assigned vote is 1. Yes, it is participating. This assigned vote is 1, but the current voting is 0 for node 2. Means node 2 itself is voluntarily is not participating in the voting because to maintain 3 votes for our 4 node cluster. Got it or not?
Yes.
Because if you understand this concept, you can just play over with any cluster, guys. I'm repeating the statement. If you just understand this, you will be happily playing with all your clusters. I'm repeating. So out of the 4 votes, let me remove this so that you should not get confused. I will remove this altogether. Okay, remove. Okay, I have something, operation failed. Okay, what is that? Show the critical events.
I think there is some dependency with
Yeah,
them.
I just kept some different. I will explain you what is that, what I kept. It's very funny. So I will have to remind that also. So first you have to understand this. Out of these 4, node 2 voluntarily removed his vote, right? So why it has removed his voting voluntarily?
It's
Because
to support
yes, to maintain
to
that
support the dynamic.
majority voting. Yeah, majority voting to support that majority voting. So it will have now it now cluster thinks it has only 3 nodes. So it's a node majority setup what I have. See, same here, the command what I run. So it says node weight is 1, state is up. Let me grab these commands and I will show you. Someone was asking me to run that commands, and I'll show you just a second. Node weight, dynamic weight. I want this. Okay, so same thing, whatever what you are seeing on the graphical interface, the same thing is being shown up in my PowerShell commandlet also. Node 2 is down. Okay, now let's see what I will do. I connected to node 4, right? This is my node 4. Oh, sorry. What is this machine? Node 3. Node 4. I will bring the node 4 down. A proper shutdown. Okay. I will connect first and I will shut down and see what happens to the voting mechanism. If you understand this, I bet you will just play with your clusters. Whatever what I'm doing, the shutdown of this cluster, server, is it graceful or ungraceful?
Graceful.
This is graceful.
Yeah, I'm logging in and I'm now shutting down. Let's see what happens to the votes and how it is adjusting automatically. Okay, so based on the needs, it is getting itself adjusted. I think someone told me to double click here. Yeah. So I'm clicking here and I'm selecting the power button and I'm saying shutdown, planned shutdown. Whether you select planned or unplanned, it doesn't matter. This is called as graceful shutdown. Okay, so I'm shutting down the node 4 and now see what happens to my cluster. Node 4 is down and see node 2 previously was having current vote as 0, but now
Yeah.
it got changed automatically and now it is maintaining the 3 votes. See here. So node 4 is down. So this is called as dynamic quorum, guys. Dynamically, it is adjusting its votes, dynamic voting. Okay. Now what I will do is I will connect to node 1 and I will shut down the node 1. And before shutting down, I have to explain you something. Let me remove these things, guys, so that otherwise it will be very difficult for you to understand. I will remove all these things. Node 1, node 2, clustering, everything. There's an availability group. Let me remove, because if the components are there, it is extremely hard for you to understand. It's very difficult. So I'm just removing them. Ensure that nothing is there. No resources whatsoever. Okay, one is gone. Node 1, node 2. What is this? Connection is broken and recovery, blah, 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 but it connected again. Funny.
I didn't get that actually.
It's okay. Sometimes some random errors. So I'm clicking node 1, node 2. I'll remove that. Sorry, I thought of showing you load balancer, but I'm showing you quorum because quorum is also required. Okay, everything has been removed. So no resources whatsoever, empty. So this is how it looks. Okay, now let me connect to node 1. Or I'll stop from here and see what happens. Node 1, I'm selecting this. Do you think this stop is graceful or ungraceful?
It's not
Graceful.
graceful, I think.
I'm stopping the node 1 and let quickly jump here and see what happens to my cluster. And see, node 1 is down and it has removed its vote. And if you see here, node 2 also removed its voting automatically. Why?
To make it even
It
due to
has to
dynamic.
yeah. So if the voting mechanism is 1 here, okay, and node 3 is also 1 here, so totally it will be 2. It will never maintain even number of voting, guys. Remember that it will maintain only odd number. So even though I have 2 nodes here, automatically node 2 has removed its voting again just to maintain even number of votes. Sorry, odd number of votes. Okay, so that's why you are seeing node 3. And I'm going to stop node 1 also. Okay, first I will remove this bloody guy. If this is not there, it would have been even more beautiful. Operation fail. What is that? What I'm getting? Let me check this and fix this out. 1 second, guys. Sorry for that inconvenience, but okay. Based on okay, I understood. Come on, buddy. 1 second. Any questions, guys? I know it's complicated for 4 years or 5 years experienced people, but let me finish off this and I will again repeat few of the topics.
See, as it is having only one node, one vote, cluster will run. Go
Yes,
down.
yes, it will run. That's what I am trying to show you.
Okay.
I just
I
wanted
have one.
1 second, guys. Let me remove this and I will address the questions. Just a second. Show the criticals. What it is showing? I am not reading the statement I am running. Based on the cluster, will try to bring. Okay. Properties. Let it come. 1 second. I should have removed this earlier. I didn't realize that. Come on. Looks like it came somewhere. Okay. Dependencies is not there. Policies. Advanced policies. RPC service unavailable. Okay. Policies. So think I have to increase this to some number to get this one. I'm not sure. Even if it doesn't work, it's fine. So let me give it a try and see if that works at least. Okay, leave it. So now I have 2 nodes down and node 2 voluntarily removed his voting, but still my Windows cluster is serving, right? I'm able to connect to my Windows cluster. Now what will I do? I will stop my node 2 also and see what happens. Okay, node 2, I'm clicking on stop. Do you think cluster will survive or it will be gone?
It won't survive, I think.
So see the stages, see here, it is showing draining. That is the status. And let's wait for it to go down and see what happens. Draining, still draining. Refresh, I'm clicking on refresh, but still, okay, it's down. And still I am able to connect to my cluster, no problem, with just 1 vote. So you told me, Vamsi, that you told that at least I need majority of the votes for the cluster to work. Why all of a sudden with just 1 vote, we are able to survive without any problem? Why? So this is the concept, guys. This is called as last man standing. Okay, these are all Windows concepts. I understood. You don't need to understand all these things, but still I am explaining you. This is called as last man standing, and this will work only if you are doing graceful shutdowns. Okay, what we did, like going here and going to select the shutdown or stopping the missions, clicking on stop, all these are considered as graceful shutdowns. That's why even with 1 vote, just with 1 vote, all the remaining nodes are down. They are completely down and no votes for them, but still this 1 vote will help you to run the cluster. That is the beauty of 2012. Okay, this is the beauty. And this dynamic witness, I talked about dynamic witness, right? So if you check the voting for this, it will be 0. If you see here, I have that command. This is the command to check the dynamic quorum. I think for dynamic witness, there is one more command. I forgot that. Let me fire this command first. Did you understand what I told just now? Why my cluster is working fine, even though I have just 1 node participating in the cluster? So it is dynamic quorum. Yeah.
We call it as a single node cluster.
1 by 1.
So we have concept like node weight, as you said earlier, right?
Yes.
So either it's 0 or 1.
Yeah.
So as long as we have at least 1 vote, it should work.
It will work provided what you have done is graceful shutdown. Again, that is very important. If it is not graceful shutdown, it will not work. Okay. I don't know how to replicate ungraceful situations in Azure. I can do this in virtual machines like Hyper-V or whatever the tools. I can create those ungraceful, but on Azure, I don't know how to create that ungraceful situations. Otherwise, I could have shown you. Okay, so now you know what is last man standing concept in Quorum. Okay, I just have 1 node up and running, but still my cluster is working fine as expected. Okay, so let me now do shutdown of the node 3 as well. Means everything is gone, and I will start with only one node, node 1, and see what happens. Okay, boring guys, or I don't know.
No,
No,
it's
no, no,
really
no.
it's
Both will
really
do the same. No,
I think
no coding.
No, Vamsi.
Okay. I think everything is down except the domain controller. There is nothing to do with domain controller, guys. I didn't have anything on this. So I was not able to delete that quorum I configured, right? Because I created that on D drive. Okay. So I created a folder called as quorum. How to, I mean, file share. So I created like this. I just named it as quorum. Okay. And I made this as share with everyone. Okay. And this is the quorum. So what is not quorum? File share. What I configured for everyone. Add, read, write, share. So this is what I've done, and I configured this as witness for my cluster. Why it was down? Because see, if I open the D drive, even in real time, guys, this is not just our test machines. Read this statement. If you create the mission, it says any data stored on this drive is subjected to loss, and there is no way to recover it. Okay, I voluntarily created a quorum on D drive, and I restarted my DC mission n number of times. So that's why I lost this quorum. If I have created on some other drive, my mission, once it gets started, dynamic witness would have come into picture. It didn't come into picture only purely because I created this on D drive. You should not create any folders or anything on D drive, leaving out TempDB. We should create only TempDB files on D drive. You should not create any other files on D drive, guys, for SQL Server.
so. D drive is like a temporary
Yes,
storage.
temporary
It can
storage.
be, yeah, okay.
That itself
So
says
all the
that
data will be lost if the failover happens,
obviously,
right?
even if you created notepad file here and if you restart it, it will not appear for you. Even a simple
Okay.
notepad file will never appear. Okay, now I'm not talking about something else. So TempDB can be placed on D drive because it will get created automatically, right? So that's the reason
Yes.
it is okay to place your TempDB files on D drive. But if you keep any data files or log files on D drive, you are gone. Okay, you will be fired if you are dealing on real-time environment. Of course, you will never do, but I'm just warning. Okay, so now all the 4 nodes are down. Let me go to my virtual machines and let me click on refresh. So all the 4 nodes are stopped, are deallocated. For node 4, it is not showing deallocated because we just went to node 4 and clicked on shutdown. So that is not, it will not get deallocated, and the Microsoft will be charging for this mission. Even though it is in shutdown state, internally, I will be charged for this mission. So if you have to do it from here only. So don't think that I have shut down my missions properly and why they are charging, because you have to do it from portal only. Okay, otherwise they will it will cost you some charges. I don't know how much they will charge, but when I was practicing 2016 or 2017 with a free account, I just clicked on stop, like shutdown. I didn't click on stop from the portal. I was having 13,300 credits. After 2 days, entire credits got vanished. Okay, so if you are playing with on your test systems, ensure that you are performing the stop from portal, not from Windows OS. It should be in stopped/deallocated state. Otherwise, it will incur you the charges. Okay, let me refresh. I think it will take some time to stop.
I think there is one question in the chat.
One question in the chat window. Dynamic quorum and dynamic. No, I will show you that now. Let's just wait for it to come. Okay, failed. Everything is closed, deallocating, and in few seconds it will be stopped/deallocated. Now I'll just start node 1. Do you think cluster will be up and running, or it will not work? Let's see that. Ramesh,
Vamsi.
you are there. I hope you are understanding, man.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have any questions, raise your voice.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Can you share that link? I mean, node. There is a you're referring one.
Which one? This
Share
one?
this link.
Yeah, sure. I just opened it randomly and I got that.
Can you also place the scripts in the shared drive? I mean, you share the recordings, right?
Yeah, I will. I'm doing that. So once this class gets completed, recording will get uploaded. Okay, I think node 1 is still starting. Okay, let's wait for it to come back. Okay, I don't need all this stuff because we are doing this practically. So let's wait for it to come back. Refresh. Yeah, I got the public IP. That's enough for me. Let me connect. Starting. Come on. How much time will you take? It's not Oracle VMs or Hyper-V VMs. Yeah, it got started. So now let me connect. I'll just wait, wait for it. 2 seconds at least. Okay, it came. So now the question, $1 million question. So do you think cluster will be up and running or will it be down?
Yeah, it's running, Vamsi, I think.
Okay, let's see that.
It's down.
Running.
Do you know how to create polling here? Like the people with yes and people with no, like polling. I don't know how to do that. Reactions.
Yes.
From where can I do that? Like I can create a polling and people with yes can go with yes and no. I don't know where it is. Okay, I'll check that later. I think we are on node 1. Let it come. Dynamic witness and dynamic quorum. Someone was asking me what is the difference. So once this comes up, you will come to know what is the difference. Just a few seconds. Even these missions are taking time. Finally, it came. Clue admin, yes. Let's see what is inside my clue admin. Will it be up or down?
I think from the webinar, you can do the polling.
So here node 2, node 3, node 4 are all in stop state. So that's why it is fine. And let's wait for the cluster events. 427. Okay, 449 is the time. Okay, it's still querying. Let's wait for it to come. 427 is the last event what I have. That is different. AG2K16, I removed all the roles. And so when I am shutting down the nodes one by one. So it's a graceful shutdown. And even with one node, which is called as, the concept is called as last man standing, and I was able to survive the cluster. But to form the cluster, how many votes are required for me? Like I need to form the cluster, right? So out of the 4 nodes, God, how many nodes are required for me to form the cluster?
2 nodes are required at least.
Okay, 2 is the answer. So let me start node 2 and see if that works. Let's see how many people you understood this concept. Node 2 I'm starting. Let's wait, refresh. I should have removed that witness, otherwise should have been super good. Unfortunately, I kept it. So 2 numbers means 50% only, right? Do you think if I start node 2, will my cluster will work?
It requires a
Yes.
3 votes might be. I'm guessing 3 votes.
It will work, I
Okay.
think, because of the dynamic.
Okay, refresh. Is it okay? I got the public IP, means the current status should be running. Yes, node 2 went from stop to running. And let's see if my cluster is able to survive. Let me close and I will open it again. Sometimes refresh will not work. And waiting for it to come. And it's still down. Okay, it is still down.
Because we lost the
Can
quorum
you check the
dynamic
command?
file, right?
If I fire the command,
Can
it
you
will
check
not
the
work.
command?
Yeah, I will do
Coding?
that. I will do that. Windows PowerShell and command is this one. I'll fire both. It says cluster service is down, something like that. And
Can you check the cluster services?
yes, I'm going there. And if you see here, it will be running without any issues.
You can go there.
Yeah.
There you can check.
See
Might
here,
be service stop. Might be.
cluster service will be up and running. Okay. Don't think that cluster service is the problem. But of course, what you told is right. We have to check that. I'm not denying, but it is not the problem with cluster service. Okay, now I will be starting one more node. Do you think it will form the cluster this time? Node 3?
Yes.
It has to, otherwise all the concept, whatever I told is wrong, completely wrong. Okay, so let me start node 3. Hopefully
You are
got,
telling odd number should be mandate, so that's why.
yeah. So let's see this running. It will take 1 or 2 minutes. Once I get the public IP, I think it will be joined. Refresh. I got the public IP. Refresh. Or I will close and open this.
For rebuild the cluster, so these dynamic won't work.
Rebuild the Windows cluster. I never did that. Rebuild the Windows cluster.
Means rebuild means we are just starting up, right?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say. So at this time, a majority should work. The dynamic doesn't work here, right?
1 second, Shiva. I'll take that question. I'm just feeling nervous because node 3 is showing us running. So node 4 is stopped. And because of that bloody bumper, even that is not there, it will be 0. And this guy will be 0. It will be odd number of votes. So my cluster should be up now. Node 3. Oh, yes. See, I didn't refresh also. It came as expected. So my concept is right. 1 second, guys. I will make this online first, and I will show you what is dynamic witness now, and then I will take the questions. Okay, sorry for that. So now it is up because I got my file share witness. Sorry.
Because of the odd voting.
Someone was asking, but I couldn't hear them. Dynamic witness voting. I want. No, you are completely lost. Completely breaking up. Who is that? Who is trying to talk to me? Shankar. Shankar, I'm
No,
not able
not
to hear
me.
you. Okay.
Not me, not me.
Okay.
I think someone.
Someone is trying to reach me, but unfortunately, let me check the dynamic witness voting. Okay, what it says. Now you will see the difference. Dynamic witness voting command. Understand. Dynamic voting. See, this is how they will explain. They will explain you very clearly, but we'll never go through all these things. Dynamic voting. See, very clear picture. Super picture. I can take this picture as reference even when I'm explaining next time. Okay, so where is that command, boss? You are showing entire picture. Oh God, I'll keep this and I'll share this. Otherwise, I'll forget. Dynamic witness command. There is one PowerShell command to check the voting for witness. Yeah, this one. So get hyphen cluster name and then witness dot dynamic witness. So no voting, right? IW dot cluster. What is this? Okay, I have to pass the cluster name. Okay. Get hyphen cluster name. Do you think it will pop up with 1 or 0? Let me show you the words now. So it has to maintain 3 words, right? So that's why you are seeing 1, 1, 1. And fourth node I didn't start, so it is 0 automatically. And for witness, do you think it will show 1 or 0? This
0.
guy. It has to be 0 because it has to maintain odd number of rows. Let me replace with my cluster Windows 2K16. It has to be 0. Otherwise, all my topic, whatever I discussed, is of no use. I think check this. Okay, Windows 2016 2K16. Let's see. That is the command, right? Get hyphen cluster, and in our case, since we have
Cluster name dot witness dynamic.
Cluster
Wait.
name dot Windows dynamic IW cluster. Okay, let's see that. Check the spelling. Windows 2016 is my cluster name. For this guy, it is IW hyphen cluster. Oh, no double quotes. I didn't pass the double quotes.
It's in double quote, yeah.
Oh, I passed it, right? Get hyphen cluster Windows 2016. Am I missing something? Witness.
Check if there is any space before it or.
Let me pass the complete name instead of just the
computer name.
Windows 2016 dot mvp.com. I will launch the Windows PowerShell with admin. Run as administrator. Will it not work? If it not work, how to find out the weight for that? It should be 0. Get hyphen cluster Windows 20.
Get the cluster name from PowerShell. See.
That's good. That is good idea. Get hyphen cluster. Windows 2016 only. Windows 2016, 2K16. What is the command to see all the properties? I think it is okay, it will be 0, guys. I'm pretty sure the dynamic voting will be 0 because it has to maintain the odd number of votes. Okay, so now any questions? I know we somehow we are stopping in an abrupt way, but any questions?
Vamsi, go to SQL Server Management Studio.
Okay, SQL Server Management Studio, yes.
Run select star from sys.hadr desktop members. There you can get all the
Okay,
details.
okay, you are passing the, yeah, that is also a good idea. Correct, correct. Okay, I'll do that. SQL cmd -s dot. What is that command? Select sys.
Select star from sys.hadr something.
Yeah, what I need that command by. I don't know. I know this sys dot.
Let me check on my machine. 1 second.
Okay, I'll check from here. Dynamic witness tsql command. Here I am getting get hyphen cluster witness dynamic weight, and I can see it from here. And the command will also work. Whatever someone has told me to run, it will work. Let me fire from command. Sorry, from PowerShell. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got it. So witness is 0. Since it has to maintain odd number of votes, witness has to be 0. Otherwise, there is no point. Okay, so that is the difference, guys. This is dynamic quorum and this is dynamic witness. So my witness is now is not participating in the cluster because I already got the odd number of votes to maintain the cluster. If I now make node 4 as up, then everything will be 1. So let me do that quickly. So I will start my node 4. Node 4, and so it will be 5 votes in total, right? Dynamic witness will now show as 1 if I make this node 4 as up. Dynamic quorum, just a second, refresh. Yes, I got it. Node 4, refresh. 1 0, still 0. Nodes down, come on, participate. Madi, I like that word, Madi. One node is still down. Okay, nodes, node 4 is down. Did I start node 4 or something else? Node 4 only. Virtual machines, refresh, everything is running. This is still starting, running. Okay,
Yeah, it should be 1 now.
System HADR cluster. Yeah, it is trying to join now. So see, automatically it got 1 vote, right? And if I fire the same command, last time I got 0 as the vote for a witness. It should be 1 now. Let me run this because odd number. So I got my 5 votes back. If I stop all the nodes and leaving out just one one node, it will work. That is called as last man standing. And all these concepts, whatever I explained you today, will work only for graceful situations. If it is network partition, don't expect this to work. Okay, it will not work. It is like ungraceful situation. In that case, it will work on the principles of 2008. Whenever you have this ungraceful situation, this topic will come back to the guidelines of Windows 2008. Okay, so there is nothing that you can do over there. That's how it works. Now I can take questions. Yeah.
I think if you stop that file share witness, automatically it will dynamic quorum will work and it will
work.
Yeah, it will work and vote will revoke it, right?
So if I stop here, see if I stop this dynamic witness, and so now I have 4 votes, right? So one node will be evicted.
It will come 3 votes only.
Yes. So let me take this offline. Okay, I'm taking this offline, and if I go here, automatically one node got evicted. See, and if I bring that online, that vote will come back automatically. I don't need to do it. See, that's the magic.
Yeah. Really great, Vamsi.
Got it?
Got it. Super.
Shiva, you were asking me something. Now tell me your question. I think I don't know if Shiva is there. I think he was Shiva, I believe. Shiva, are you there?
Omchi, I have one question, Omchi.
Yeah.
He's there. He's on mute.
You stop the witness share. Okay. So voting will become on 3. So how it will take off 3 votes?
Ramesh, your voice is not clear. Can you type in the chat if you don't mind?
No, actually you stop the file share witness. So voting will become 3. Okay. How it will take 3 nodes like node 1 and node 2, node 3? Which one will choose?
No, it is dynamic. That's what that name says, dynamic. So it will tune automatically. Okay. We cannot do that.
Okay. That is the feature of dynamic. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
If the 2 nodes are stopped, okay.
Now, okay.
At that time, this file share will be having 1 vote, right?
Yes.
At that time also cluster should work, right?
Yes, it will work. So let me stop node 3, node 4. Our cluster will not. I mean, what we are doing is graceful. So even if I stop all the nodes, it will work as you have seen in the past. But if it is ungraceful situation, then also it will work.
It will not. Okay.
Then also it will work because we have 3 nodes, right? Majority should be there. Out of 5, 3 are running, so no problem.
Okay, if the file share is not working,
I will just conclude this in one line, guys. No questions. I will make sure you will just understand by passing this statement. If it is graceful, the concept is called as last man standing. Even with 1 node, our cluster will work. If it is ungraceful, then comes the point of voting. That's it. If it is ungraceful only, the voting mechanism would come into picture. If it is graceful, you don't need to worry at all. Even with 1 node, it will work. As simple as that.
Vamsi.
Yeah.
My question is about ungraceful now.
Yeah.
What if we have only 2 node cluster, and if it's an ungraceful shutdown for 1 node?
Ungraceful, you are lost. You will your availability groups will be in resolving state. Even your cluster will be down because if it is ungraceful, it cannot form the cluster. It means ungraceful means suddenly all of a sudden something went down and the cluster will not be able to get the proper quorum configurations because my baby has come, so I have to stop, guys. I will take this up tomorrow. Okay. But if you have any questions, you can just reach out to me on WhatsApp otherwise.
Okay.
Vamsi, last question. I mean, we need to configure this dynamic.
No, you don't need to do anything. It will come to you naturally. No, you don't. As a DBA, you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Nothing, because I didn't configure any voting for this. As you are seeing, if I stop this, 1 vote got evicted automatically, right? Let me show you that. So I am not tuning this node 2, right? It is automatically doing itself. And if I start this, it is coming back. So cluster is taking care of this.
Omsi, which node you are doing this?
No, I am.
Node 2, I think
it is taking node 2 now. Okay, let me stop this. Okay, you got one doubt, right? I'm stopping file share and node 2 is down. It is showing. Okay, so now I will remove node 3. I mean, I will stop the node 3 and see what happens. Node 3 and then stop and see what happens. Node 2 will get back his vote automatically and node 3 will get 0 votes. See, Node 3 is 0. Node 2 has got its vote back.
Okay.
Understood? And this guy is offline state, so it will not have his vote, right? And if I make this up now tell me what will happen. So already we have this odd number. So if I make this up, nothing, no changes here. So it will be 1 1 0 1 only. Let me do that. So bring online. And then if I go to roles, sorry, not roles, nodes. See, nothing got changed. 1 1 0 1 only because I got the odd number of votes.
Vamsi, if we remove file share, it will also same thing, right? I mean, it will act as the same, right? Voting
Yeah,
mechanism.
if I remove the file share, it will still remains the same 1 1 0 1, right?
Okay, yeah.
So 3 votes are already there,
Okay.
so it doesn't make any difference here in this case. If
from
I bring,
2012 onwards, right? It's from 2012 onwards, right?
this is from 2012 R2. Dynamic witness is from 2012 R2. Dynamic quorum is from 2012. So there are two versions of Windows in 2012. One is 2012, and the other one is Windows 2012 R2. In R2, they introduced this dynamic witness.
It's okay. This is dynamic witness, right?
Yes, this is dynamic witness. Yes. Hope you got the cluster. Okay, if we lose file share witness, will it? No. Cluster will be, so there is something called as split brain. Split brain, it will never happen with our clusters because this is the advantage, this is the beauty of dynamic quorum and dynamic witness. So it automatically removes the votes and it will remain with one vote. And even if ungraceful situations happen, our availability groups will go into resolving state. Okay, I cannot create that split brain situation in Azure SI. So that is the problem. I cannot create that ungraceful shutdowns on Azure. I don't know how to do it, but on VMs I can do it.
Did you share about dynamic quorum information yesterday? Because I missed class yesterday.
No, I didn't discuss about quorum yesterday at all. Who is this?
Dynamic quorum.
Prasad. Okay.
I mean, this is a dynamic witness, right? Did you explain about a dynamic quorum?
No, I mean, I just shown with example how dynamic quorum and dynamic witness works. So Prasad, you can reach out to me because I have to close this off. I'm running out of time, but you can watch the video again one more time once I upload this, and you can contact me on WhatsApp if you have any questions.
Thanks.
Sorry guys, I have to leave. Yeah. Take care guys. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.